because I'm holding it quite
okay.
tightly. I know it's tough being a man.
And a good day to you. Well, it's here anyway. It's actually sunshiny in God's own country of Yorkshire. A bit of a heat haze, but it's always nice to see something nice out the office window and not downpours of rain and fog and stuff like that. You are listening to episode 8 of Brown and Marsh. I can't believe we're still doing this after 8 weeks, and I can't believe we've not been taken off air. My name's Ross Brown, and my glorious, beautiful co-host is.
I'm Chris Marsh.
I should have warned you. I think they, and I've done this for. If people have listened to it, they know who we are by now.
I think they know, yeah.
Yeah, and frankly, do they care anymore? I'm not
Did
sure.
Did they care in the first place?
No, well, probably not. Let's be honest. I thought we'd do a bit of idle banter before we get into things. So, Christopher, what's new with you this week?
That's easy for you to say.
No, apparently not.
Yeah, it's well, like you said, we've got some blue skies in Manchester at the moment, so we're just kind of soaking that in and an attempt at making the most of it. So, in terms of what's new, I don't know what's new. It's just I'm same old networking and trying to help people out, really.
Yeah. Well, okay, all right. I thought that'd go better than it did. Obviously. Are you up to anything for the rest of the day after we've interviewed our beautiful interviewee for the day?
Oh, nothing of exciting interest for our listeners to hear about.
I really should have warned you I was going to do this, shouldn't I? Rather than just drop it on. Yeah.
I could talk about car issues and.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear about car issues.
But nobody wants to hear about that, so no.
I've tried to do it subtly on video. Stop moving your head because you keep going quiet because you're moving your head away from the microphone.
Am I?
Yeah, you keep doing that, Chris, and I can't hear you.
Sorry, I will. Okay.
It's monkeys and typewriters, a pair of us, to be honest with you. So yeah, I was trying to think of my tip for the week, and as is the way my brain works, came up with something really random. Remember years ago when Terry Venables took over as manager at Leeds United?
Okay.
It's sort of out of the blue a bit. I mean, it must be 25 years ago, something like that. Well, the day it was announced, there was an advert in the Yorkshire Post that night from the This Is Yorkshire Tourist Board with a picture of Eltel with "Welcome to Yorkshire," and it was just a perfect example. And everybody in the industry around Leeds was talking about going, "That's what you need to do. Move quick when things like that happen. Actually, give people the ability to move quick enough that they can seize on it." Because 30 years later, I'm still talking about it. So that'd be my tip: is yes, sometimes you need to get everything checked. Make sure that it passes brand values and all that stuff. But sometimes just move quick, especially in this day and age where everything's online. I've got a couple of clients who, when they get snotty reviews on Google, ask me to write something back, which is either "you're talking rubbish, mate," or "yeah, we cocked up and we're really sorry and we'll learn from it." And I write them very quickly because my argument is you need to respond to this and not be hanging. And then they'll take a fortnight for it to go through approval process. You've just lost any momentum. You now look like you've got your PR guy to write this, which you have. But if you replied within a few hours, like we could have done, it would have looked so much better. So yeah. I'm not saying move fast and break things, but move fast. So
okay.
that's me for this week, Chris.
Good tip. Move fast. That's good. I'll try and keep my head still. Yeah. Okay. Well, my tip is something that I wrote about recently, and it's something that I'm sure you all hear this famous phrase in business development. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And I hear that so many times. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And that's all well and good if you know a lot of people, if you've got a big network. But if you don't have a big network, how are you going to go about using that as from a business development perspective and seeing the benefits? So my way of thinking, or what I try and have other people think from a customer perspective, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. So go to those networking events, put yourself out there, use social media. I'm going to use a phrase, I keep saying it to you as well.
It's going to be visibility.
Visibility creates opportunity. It really does, those three words. So it's not who you know, it's who knows you. If you keep that in mind, perhaps that might help you with your activity in terms of business development.
I know you've got a few tattoos. Have you got that tattooed anywhere?
No, I should do, shouldn't I?
Great opportunity. Maybe across your forehead.
That means I'd stop saying it, and I love saying it.
No, you wouldn't stop saying it, Chris. Oh, I think we normally tend to record in an afternoon, and it's as we're recording this, it's 10:15 in the morning. I'm starting to think maybe the coffee hasn't quite kicked in yet.
Really?
Well, maybe it's just me then. I don't know. But I think, frankly, to save us from just waffling inane rubbish for the next 40 minutes, we probably ought to bring our guest on. So, Mr. Guest, as is our wont, if you would like to unmute yourself and introduce yourself, sir.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me. So yeah, I'm John Ewbank, and I've been really enjoying listening to you two just kind of in self-proclaimed waffling on for the last kind of 5 minutes, which has been quite nice actually. And the that whole ethos of it's not what you know, it's who you know actually kind of resonates, because it's I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you two. So it's kind of not what I know, it's who I know, and I'm sat here.
You are our number one fan, I think. You know, since we first started doing this, as soon as we post anything on LinkedIn, John likes it.
You and Colin.
I just like liking things that make sense and help people out, you know. And
thank you. Yeah,
Chris and I we've been mates for about 4.5 years or so, kind of ish. We've been to lots of events together. We've been to the footy together. We've played footy together, and you know.
Oh God, are you another United fan?
I am indeed. Yeah. And
you didn't warn me about this, Chris.
I didn't say anything about John Ewbank, did I? Actually,
no, you didn't tell me about John. I mean, I've spoken to John on a couple of networking online things myself, but you didn't tell me you're a bloody United fan.
Don't hold that against him. He's got lots of interesting stories and plenty to say. No, we don't need to talk about. We don't need to talk about football anyway. There's plenty to talk about.
So, John, I know what you do, but for the beautiful people at home, what's your job, mate? What do you actually do for a living?
So my current job is UK business development for a company called Yeep Lockers, which is a company that places parcel lockers on the ground at various different locations, be it private, public, or kind of third sector locations, to drive income, to drive footfall, and to give the community a service that a lot of people are using right this minute. Quite new into it, to be fair. This is like my 5th week, I think it is now. So coming towards the end of the 5th week, it's been great. It's been really exciting, working with a great team, working with people that have done this before, some people that haven't done it before, and kind of, you know, learning as we go really as an organisation as well. It's great, you know, it's an organisation that's been around for a couple of years, but it's part of a company that is a bit kind of like longer in the tooth, should I say, that's European backed as well. But like I say, it's only 5 weeks in, but my entire kind of career has spanned kind of sales, business development, marketing in some way, shape, or form since I was 16 years old. And
take us back to 16. Then you've left school. What's your first move?
Well, I started college, and so left school.
Just me, you're wearing a United top. I didn't realise that was a United tracksuit. Oh, for God's sake!
It's cold where I'm sat, even though the sun's out.
I need to vet people more, Chris. Sorry, John, you left school at 16.
Left school at 16, 1996. Yes, I am 46, and I look all right for it, I think.
You're about 12.
But so I left school in 96, and it was when Euro 96 was on. It was a great summer. I started college in the September, and then needed a part-time job. Well, I say wanted a part-time job because everybody else was doing it, and I thought, you know what, I need to finance the shirt I'm wearing at weekend and the football tops I'm buying and stuff like that. So I went to live in South Manchester, lived in Wythenshawe, so I went to Stockport Town Centre, and I thought, you know what, where do I want to work? So I walked around various different shops and going to like HMV. I might have gone in Mackey's, I can't remember. And then I went into Dixon's. So if you remember Dixon's, if you're kind of my age or a little bit kind of younger or a little bit older, Dixon's was in the middle of the Peel Centre. So I went into there with my CV in my hand.
For the younger members of the audience,
so Dixon's was great. It's where you watch your football scores on a Saturday afternoon. It was where you went in for your walk. I think
they made money from selling them.
Your hi-fis,
they sold stuff. They sold electrical goods.
Yeah. They did, yeah, and it's when they sold, they sold the massive tellies with the massive backs on them, and they sold kind of really the stack hi-fis and all that kind of stuff. So that was cool. It was a 16-year-old lad. I was like, I want a bit of this, I want some of this stuff, so I want to be able to kind of work in there as well. And it was a Christmas job, so walked in, CV in my hand, spoke to the branch manager, give him a CV, and I think it was barely a conversation at the time, and it was like, when can you start? And I was like, well, I can probably start this weekend. And then that kind of like snowballed, really. I had a part-time job there. It was just during college, and then I made the decision to kind of come out of college after the year that I did there. Enjoyed it, but it kind of, when I went to the second year, it wasn't quite for me, and I thought, you know what, I want a career. I want to kind of go in that direction. And people take different paths into different roles, don't they? Some people take the academic route. I took the kind of experiential route, I suppose you could call it. And that 3-month, 4-month kind of part-time Christmas job turned into a 9-year career in various different Dixon stores, Curry stores, the Link mobile phone shop, if you remember that one. Yeah. And I kind of bounced around the Northwest region at various different branches, managing a few, being deputy in a few, meeting some great people, meeting some great customers. I've still got some friends now that we worked in those shops with. So that was my career for like 9 years, up to store management, and then kind of went into a little bit of a side kind of job. I left there and became my own boss for a bit, and I was fitting bathrooms and kitchens and basically plumbing for a couple of years, which was
okay. Sorry, what?
I don't know this.
That's a bit of a diversion, a bit of a tangent.
I'm
going from selling hi-fis to fitting a kitchen.
I wanted to change, and I think I'd done like 9 years, and my brother-in-laws were plumbers, and they had their own business fitting bathrooms, and I thought, I'll go and do a little bit with them, and I kind of learned a trade, and I did that for a couple of years. Diversified again after that, and then I went to France.
To know, Chris.
Yeah,
write that down. John's a plumber.
Yeah, well, that's it.
You always need a plumber.
It's not what you know; it's who you know, isn't it? It's the right person.
Yeah. You got any friends who are electricians?
I've actually, brother-in-law.
Right.
So when I was doing that, I had the opportunity to go and work in France for a couple of years.
Très bon.
Snowboarded for quite a while. Wanted to go and do something different, work abroad, and I actually went on holiday with my nephew, and his girlfriend worked in Greece, so we went to go and see her, and I saw the opportunity of working abroad and loads of people doing it, and I came back and I thought, right, winter's coming up, let's go and get a job abroad. So I did. I went for an interview for TUI Holidays. It was Crystal Holidays at the time, actually, and they partnered with TUI halfway through the season. And I became the resort manager of Val d'Isère Ski Resort, and managed hotels, chalets, people that worked in chalets, giving great customer experiences, making sure the standards were there for guests coming on board, and just having a really good time, to be fair. And you worked hard, you played hard. It was a really tough job.
How old are you at this point, John?
Late 20, probably, that was 2007, so I'm kind of like 28 at the time. Which, to be fair, for a seasonaire, is not a lot of people go out at that age. People go and do a season when they're kind of in a gap year at uni, or they do like the kind of like the Indonesia and the Asia stuff, and then they go and do the winter season. I just hit it about 10 years later, which was fine, because it meant I had a bit of responsibility. And then I was there for 2 years. We had 2 summer seasons, 2 winter seasons. I'm married now to Sally, and we met out in France, which was great. And we did a couple of summer seasons together out in Switzerland and Interlaken. And that was more of so the winter season was a managerial role, managing standards, managing execution of the resort. My summer role was all around sales as a holiday rep. But it was kind of holiday repping in a different guise. It was kind of walking guiding, mountain bike guiding, taking people on trips, selling trips up mountains to gorges, to lakes and all that kind of stuff. It was amazing. In the beautiful Bernese Oberland in Switzerland, and you've never seen views like it. And I'm looking out my window.
I don't know. I'm looking out my window in Yorkshire.
Yeah, it's similar to be fair, just a smaller scale, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Less German people.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it was amazing, and I think even to this day, I think I didn't really appreciate where I was when I was there. You kind of just go about your business, you do your job, and you go and play. I went cycling and running and messing about in lakes and all sorts while I was there, and I think you don't really appreciate the scenery when you're there. It was awful.
Yeah.
But then I came back. And then came back in 2009. I started working with John Lewis. So again, back into the retail world. I thought I know I can sell, so I'll go back into
I'll
retail.
tell you something, you can talk.
You asked me the question. It's funny.
We need him to talk.
Well, no, but it's like Bex, who was on the last show. She actually texted me afterwards and said, "I'm really sorry I talked a lot." I was like, "Well, that is the idea."
Yeah,
but I'll be honest. I think Chris and I could go out for lunch and come back, and you'd still. Anyway, we've got to 2014 now. Oh, sorry, John. This is great. It just feels like people going, "Have those two fallen asleep?" So this is why I'm chipping
We're still here. We're still
here. Yeah, okay.
I can see them. Listeners, I can see them. Don't worry about it. They're still there. They're still listening. Still looking at me as well, which is great.
It's AI. So John Lewis, you came back, went to John Lewis. Say I was listening.
Yeah, so I went to John Lewis because it was around the corner from where I was living at the time.
A lot of thought into it then.
There was, but there was also another reason. So I lived with, at the time I'd moved back home, but while I was away in France, I'd lost my mum. So that was a real big driver of coming back home, just because, receiving a phone call in the middle of it was like November, to say that, your mum had passed away was, you wouldn't wish that phone call.
Was it out the blue? Just a bit of
and it was a massive jolt. It was the first person I'd pretty much lost in my family, and it was huge. Quite a big family of mine, so I'm one of 7. My dad was still around, so it was a huge driver to come back to the UK again. So we came back, and it was like, well, I'm living in kind of Gatley Cheadle area.
Oh, very nice.
I want to go and work back in the retail world. Where suits me as a person, where suits me as my kind of values. And John Lewis was recruiting, again, Christmas staff. So the kind of Christmas thing kind of continued from the Dixon's world. And again, I really enjoyed it, did a good job. I was offered a permanent position there and stuck around in the John Lewis partnership for 13 years, or just short of 13 years. Moved around that shop a little bit, various different roles, met loads of different
shop
people.
Was this? It
was the Cheadle shop,
Cheadle
John Lewis.
Yeah.
Awesome shop. It's one of the best shops outside of, or the most high performing shops outside of London. Really good shop, really good people. Met loads of great individuals there. Met some great teams. Worked with some great teams. Still keep in touch with some of the guys there now, and I'm actually still kind of doing a little bit of work with some of them in different ways with this new role as well, which is great. So again, who kind of thing really resonates with me from being 16 years old all the way through to now, because I've still got relationships with people that I've met along those years.
It's just being decent, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Being decent, and when people, do you know John Ewbank? They go, "Oh yeah, lovely fella." Not, yeah, I do. Why? As long as you're decent to folk.
Yeah.
I always say, don't be a dick on the way up, because you never know when you might need them when you're coming back down again. And that's not to be mercenary. It's just be decent, but remember for the right reasons. And it sounds like something you've always done.
Yeah, and fundamentally, John's like that. You're a good person, and I can say that because I know you. But I think even when I first got to know you, I thought you can just tell. You just tell you're a good guy, and you've got a good head on your shoulders, and you want to do the right thing. And testament, I made a comment the other day on the Biz Dev Club. You whenever you join the Biz Dev Club, you always talk about building relationships as an important element of driving sales. And for me, that speaks volumes. You always talk about the people side of it. So my question for you, I've blown enough smoke up your ass, is what sort of things did you learn from? You talked a lot about retail, Dixon's, and mobile phones, and Currys, and John Lewis. What sort of things did you learn from working in retail?
I think the biggest things I learned, and I talked to my kids about this. So I've got 2 daughters who are 13 and 11, going on 16 and 19.
Oh God, yeah.
I think the biggest thing I learned is questioning, understanding, listening, to be able to solve problems for people or solve their problem, whatever they were having. So whether it was someone coming in, the washing machine had just blew up and they couldn't wash their clothes for that weekend, or whether it was, they're not sleeping very well and they need a mattress, whatever the product was, it didn't really matter what the product was. It was asking the right questions, listening intently, and finding the solutions for somebody. And no matter what kind of role you do in any business development, retail world, they're the kind of fundamentals, aren't they, really? You find out what the challenge is and you try and help solve the problem. But when I was 16...
what I talked about in the last episode about my marketing tip was, don't tell me what you can do, tell me what you can do for me. And
I remember hearing it,
New business. And that's the thing. People don't care. as a rule, people don't care how something works. It's how does it make my life easier? How does it improve things for me? And whether you're selling it as a marketing guy or you're selling it as a sales guy, same thing. You know, personalize it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're talking about empathy there. We're talking about as well as problem solving, but you've still got to be in a position where you understand where the other person's coming from. So for me, that's empathy, and that sounds like something that you've really got a grasp of and got a grasp of from an early age, and you're able to pass it on to your daughters as well. So where did you go after retail? What happened after that?
So it actually kind of came to an end. It was a little bit more sooner than I'd envisaged. So when I was in John Lewis, it got to COVID, didn't it? You know, so
I heard about that. Yeah, did you hear about that, Ross?
It rings a bell.
I'm hearing random rumours about another lockdown, and that can do one straight away.
It's people just scaremongering. Yeah, meningitis outbreak. It's horrible. It's a disgustingly nasty disease, but it's in Canterbury, and you can get a vaccine for it. Or antibiotics for it. Yes, the problem, it's a silent killer. That's the problem with meningitis.
Yeah.
By the time you get symptoms that are obvious, you're dead, essentially.
I remember saying similar about when there was a breakout in China, and I was at a round table and I said, "It's in China. I thought I'm sure they'll be fine." I remember, and that's how I said it as well.
Yeah,
anyway,
well done, Nostradamus.
Don't ask me to predict your lottery numbers. Go on, John. So COVID hit.
Yeah, so I'd left the Cheadle branch, and I'd got a role in Chester, so commuting to Chester from Cheadle, which is fine. Love the job, love the shop, love the people I work with. Again, built some great relationships. Again, people I still talk to today. And it come to COVID. We closed the shop down in March, probably the same time around now. Actually, probably kind of like 5 years ago. 5 years ago today.
Yeah, it was the 20th.
6
years.
6 years.
Crazy.
And we shut the shop down for about a week or so, and then we realised what we had to do. We had to then redeploy our staffing teams into where the support was needed. So Waitrose was supported really well, and we supported with kind of home deliveries or sortings, because a lot of people having home deliveries weren't they, at the time. Long story kind of short, we followed the process, and we were told probably kind of 6 months later that our store was never going to reopen again. We'd opened a little bit in between that summer period when it kind of we reopened a bit, didn't we, as a country, and we reopened stores. My store reopened again, and then come the Christmas, we got the kind of D that we weren't going to reopen, and our store was going to be permanently closed. So that was a bit of a shocker. And my career path kind of changed a little bit, because I thought, right, my next role is ops manager at a bigger store, and hoping to go for branch manager and see where that went. I think what's changed about my kind of life now is the way that I look at career development and career progression, which is going off on a bit of a tangent right this minute, but I always envisaged that ladder of salesperson, assistant manager, deputy manager, whatever it might have been, and you kind of crawl that ladder and you get to wherever you want to be, just for job satisfaction, for career development, for kind of financial gain, whatever it might have been. I think what I've realised now is that the world is more of a climbing frame, and you kind of move around it, and you kind of transfer from rung to rung, and you go left and you go right. Sometimes you go back down again, and you experience different stuff, and you kind of learn from that. And that's the biggest thing that I've kind of learned in the last 5 years since kind of leaving that role. But I think I kind of took redundant from John Lewis.
I think the thing to remember is that things have changed since our parents. Where you did the job for life. Might even be the same company for life. We've changed. We get bored more easily, and we don't have the loyalty. But I think it's because companies don't have the loyalty anymore. Companies, as a rule, seem more focused. Unfortunately, I think John Lewis is one of the exceptions because of the way the company is. But shareholder value over and above, personnel value, essentially. So I think people are realizing if you drop dead tomorrow, they'd replace you by Monday. So why the bloody hell are you giving the best years of your life? And I sound like a right cynical old bastard, don't I? but I notice neither of you disagreeing with me, though.
No, that's true.
Sorry, John. It's just I wanted to get my high horse there for a second.
No, it's absolutely fine. You jump on it. It was a bit of a shocker, and kind of leading a team through that kind of process was one of the biggest kind of learns I've had in life, in terms of, my mind from years and years and years of working in the way I had and the dedication I have, is my mind goes to the process. So it's like, right, what do I need to do to finish this process? And we were given, say, 3 or 4 months to shut the branch down, empty it.
What was the reason for shutting it? Because I would imagine, I worked in Chester, so it's quite an affluent area. Why would somewhere like John Lewis not want to have a branch there?
I think it was more the case of just the kind of through COVID, and obviously it was deemed as not as profitable as some of the others, and reducing the estate seemed like the way forward. It was on a retail park.
Yeah, but have they got a place at Cheshire Oaks as well?
No, nearest one to there now is Liverpool and Trafford and Cheadle, in that region. So it was, the decision was made, so we did what we needed to do. But the team I worked with there were fantastic. They took it on the chin. Yes, we had a few tears every now and again from us all. We all didn't know what the future held for us. We had partners that had worked there for 30 odd years, or worked in the business for 30 odd years. Kind of people who you could really rely on, really trust. And it was a great team, and bringing them through that experience was one of the most like I say, the most learned experiences I've ever done, because you've got to handle people, but you've got to handle a process, and you've got to do the two together and get the best result for everybody concerned. And I think we did, to be fair. People that took redundancy wanted it. People who stuck and stayed with the partnership wanted it. So everyone got kind of a result that they were looking for, in a way. I took my redundancy. I went out and back into retail again. I went into Currys for a bit, and then I was only there for about 10 months, and I wanted something a bit different in terms of a leadership development role.
I'm going to chip in again. Sorry, man.
Yeah, go for it.
Only because I want to make people realise that we're still here. What had you learned by this point? Because obviously at this point you're mid to late 30s, 40, something like that.
Yeah, I was probably I turned 40 in 2019.
So you're 40, 41 at this point, and you've been in retail. You've done the summer and winter seasons, but essentially you've been a retail guy, operations guy, customer service guy. What transferable skills have you got all the way back from that Dixon's, Christmas job that you're still utilizing now, but also probably refining? What the 2 or 3 things that you've picked up on the way going, I'm bloody remembering that?
Yeah, I think one of the most important ones was like leadership. Being able to take the problem and lead from the front, and lead with conviction, and also just bring people along with you. And I've often kind of known and thought that people do something for you because it's you, whether it's me or you or Chris or whoever it might be. People work with you because it's you, and you built that relationship and you built that trust, and you think, you know what, I'm going to follow John into the battle because it's John, and he's always done us right. On occasions like that, with kind of massive redundancies and stuff, people don't know how you're going to handle that. We've made some mistakes, which was fine. We might have upset a few people with the way things happen, but at the end of the day, we got through it in the end, and we all came through it as a team. So I think leadership was one of the things I've always held firm, but also I'm always learning. You're never going to learn everything about leadership, because you're going to face a different challenge next week or tomorrow or tonight or whenever it might be that will make you think a bit differently.
Have you got an example of a maybe mistake you've made that you've learned from? And I don't need details. I'm not trying to make you look stupid here, mate. Just
no, that's fine. Yeah.
Something and gone, do you know what? I should have handled that way, and next time I will.
Yeah, I think probably the whole the kind of process of shutting that shop down there was a couple of mistakes in terms of I went straight into process mode, because obviously it impacted me as well personally. I was going to lose my job, and I've got a family, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute, what do I then do? So I was like, right, I'm going to make the best of this situation, and I'm going to go and follow this process, and I'm going to go and deliver this outcome. My mind didn't think straight away of the 110 people it was also going to impact as well. I maybe didn't think of people straight away, but it took a bit of
yourself. Yeah. You got wife and 2 kids. Does Sally work?
Yeah, she's a childminder from home. She's actually out at the moment, which is great. So the house is quiet for you guys.
Yeah. So makes it sound like we've popped round for coffee. So no disrespect to Sally, but you're probably the main breadwinner, because of the nature of what she does.
Yeah.
So there's obviously in the back of your head going, 6 months' time, I lose a very nicely well-paid job, and I've got a wife and 2 kids. So I don't think it's a surprise that we all get a bit insular because you've got to look after yourself. You don't want to shit over everybody else, but you want to look after yourself.
Yeah, of course. But it didn't take long, to be fair, to kind of then think, do you know what, actually, this isn't just about me. And I think actually that for the rest of that time doing that process, I didn't really think about me at all. My mind shifted completely the other way. And it was a case of, right, what do I now need to do as the leader of this operation to make sure everyone else is looked after? So we put on sessions where people could come and just talk about how they felt about it all. We did. We kind of had breakout sessions where we brought people in because obviously we're still in COVID, so I couldn't even get the partners together. I couldn't get the staff together. So we had to do kind of Zoom calls or Teams calls, Google calls, whatever we had at the time. And what was quite interesting actually is we identified that there was not a lot of the kind of like the male partners, the male staff members were sharing kind of how they were going through some stuff. So I had a conversation with a mate of mine in the shop and I was like, mate, I think we need to do something for the blokes here. Like, we need to do something that's going to give them a chance to talk. And, you know, we did something that was called Blokes and Bacon Butties. And one morning we just said, right, lads, you know, we're going to stick up some bacon butties, put the kettle on. And when I think back now, it's almost like kind of Andy's Man Club kind of territory. I was just
thinking exactly that, yeah.
What they do. And which is a completely different kind of thing, but, you know.
Oh, yeah, but it's not. It's the same. You're going through turmoil, and as blokes, we're not programmed to share our feelings and our emotions.
No, we just got on with it, like you said, but it was one of the best decisions ever made. You know, we had Blokes and Bacon Butty morning. We had about 15 of us sat in a little cafe at John Lewis in Chester. And, you know, obviously no customers around because it was shut down, it was gone. And we just had a natter. We just had a chat about kind of how's everyone feeling, what's your plans, what's everyone's thought process, you know, are you wanting to stick around? Do you want us to help you with CVs? You know, whatever the kind of thought process was. But it was just 15 of us just having a bit of a chat, and it felt quite nice. And, you know, that helped a few people, I'd like to think, that, you know, make that decision about what they were going to go do going forward. So
it's sometimes vocalizing it, saying it out loud. You need someone to talk to, and also you need somebody to understand. And, you know, the best place people to understand other people in the same position.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it probably helped me out, to be fair, as well, because at the time I didn't really have a clue what I was going to do at the time. You know, it's like, do I stick around? Do I try and find a job internally? Do I take redundancy and go, you know, take the blinkers off and go and look at what the big wide world has to offer? And I was chatting to some of my John Lewis mates a couple of weekends ago at a wedding, and I was like, you know what, guys, you know, I've probably done 4 jobs since I left John Lewis, and I've learned something great from every single one of them. I've met some great people. You know, I think Chris has kind of followed me through those steps actually since I left John Lewis. I think we met about the job after I did there, and, you know, roles I've done since then. You meet some great people and you take the blinkers off and you realise the big bad world isn't actually as big and bad as what you think, and you can transfer those skills over and you can go and do something different, and you can climb that climbing frame, and you can just be a bit experiential. And if something doesn't work out, so what? Something else will, and you can go and move on to something different and take those skills with you and have an impact on someone else's life at the same time.
Yeah. I've just got the title for this episode, by the way, Chris.
Go on.
Climbing the climbing frame.
I love that.
Climbing the climbing frame. Yeah.
Climbing the climbing frame.
I don't even tell you these days, do I? I just edit them and put them out there, and Chris goes, "Oh, that's what it's called, is it? All right, yeah." Okay.
You're the creative one, so I'm happy leaving that to you. So
I'll let you use it. It's fine.
Oh, I didn't realise it was a copyright thing.
Yeah, I can't remember where we. So
it's funny. Both. I'm conscious that I'm gobbier than Chris at times, so I sometimes try and sit back and kind of give him a look that goes, "Oh, mate, you take the lead." And he looked at me going, "No, it's all right. You shoot, Chris. You go." And John went, "They're both gone quiet. I'll start talking again."
You can tell that there's 2 roles that you did in between Yeep Lockers, where you are now, and John Lewis. I mean, what they were very much, for how I would describe them, very much looking after the people side of it and thinking about what people need. 2 quite different propositions, but again, that's one of the things I love about you, John, that you're conscious about the people side of it and what people need and how people feel. Yeah, what led you into those two roles in particular? There's the first one with training.
Yeah, so Common Purpose was a role that I didn't actually kind of know much about the Common Purpose organisation at the time. Although one of my ex-managers at John Lewis had done one of the Common Purpose programs.
Where are they based? I know the name.
Told me about it. Pardon?
Where are they based? I know the name. Common
It's
Purpose.
global. I mean, it was born out of the Northeast, but it's a global organisation. And what they do really, really well, and I still advocate for the programs, is they bring leaders together from all different backgrounds, cultures, sectors, experiences to share challenges within the workplace, no matter where the workplace is. And I've often said this, and someone told me it sounded like a joke once, but you could have like the dean of a cathedral, the chief of police, or the kind of leader of or the leader of the council, all in one training session, and that's the kind of like comment you normally get.
It sounds brilliant though,
but it's amazing.
We can all bring things from different industries.
Yeah,
I haven't done that, but I know one time I was talking to God and ... Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. And I think what really interested me about that was the leadership of people in different positions. And for years gone by in like Dixon's or John Lewis or wherever it was, I always got a kick out of developing someone to then go and do a little bit better at what they did. So if you can develop somebody 1% a day and turn them into a better leader or a better person or a better salesperson, I always used to get a kick out of that. So that job was great in that it gave me an opportunity to work with different leaders from different backgrounds and learn from them.
What did you do there? What do you do at Common Purpose?
So I was kind of tasked with bringing people onto programs and finding interesting leaders from charity sector, professional, private, public, bringing them onto programs, actively kind of business development in a way, but also helping facilitate some of the programs as well.
Yeah, sounds fascinating.
We used to work with they still do. They work with young leaders, so they have a program that's for 18 to 25-year-olds. That's a free program, and it gives them an opportunity to come out of their workplace or learning environment and go and learn how to be in leadership role. Really interesting, and I got a real buzz out of it. And I think where that led me to was I learned more about charities and more about kind of the charity sector and how leaders in the charity operate differently in a way to people in the private or public sector in whatever mission they're part of. And that led me on to the Youth Zone job that I started to do. And for years, I've always wanted to do something for kids and young people. My mum was a foster parent for probably over 25 years. She fostered over 100 kids in that period. And up until she died, she still got letters from kids that she'd looked after back in the day.
What was that like? Sorry, I want a sidebar. But what was that like growing up with a stream of kids going through the house?
It's just like now.
Yeah, but they're yours, John, this time.
It's to be honest, it was great. We just kind of, I didn't know any different, and obviously, yeah, sometimes your kind of mum and dad are kind of occupied, so sometimes you don't see see them as often, but you saw what was being delivered on the other end of it. I saw her as a 10-year-old to up to kind of maybe 18-year-old that mum was looking after someone, and it might be someone for a day, it might be someone for a week, it could have been someone for 6 months.
But like saying, when it's your normal, you just kind of assume everyone's doing it.
Yeah, and some of the kids that mum looked after, I remember once we had this brother and sister come to us for a couple of weeks' time, and they came to school with us. So I think part of the program, obviously without exposing too much, is that they came to us from wherever they lived. I can't remember the details that much, but they then came to our junior school. But they became my foster brother and foster sister, and I'm like, I look after you. This is my role, like I do my little brother and my other little brother. And then I remember there was a time in the school playground, one of them was getting picked on or something, and I just went flying over and just kind of sorted the problem out, should we say.
I like that. Oh, yeah, sorted the problem out, if you know.
And it was just, you just kind of grew up with it, and so seeing mum and dad do that for other kids, I'd always wanted to do something for the kids in the future, but I never really knew how to get involved in it, or I never.
Sorry, I can just analyse the arse out of this. You look at this and then look at the way your career went. You're just replicating the sort of the empathy and the care and the looking after people, weren't you? In your professional
career. I think it's just being a good human being, isn't it? There's a lot of crap that goes on in the world, but if you do the right thing and look after someone every now and again, it's just might come back around. I might need it at some point. But
Yeah.
you know, you never know. Someone might be there to pick me up off the ground at some point. You just don't know, do you?
You drink a lot. Is that the problem?
What's that? Yeah,
You drink
only
a lot, yeah. Being
only
picked
after
up on the
watching
foot.
United back about 4 months ago. Now we're all right.
We weren't going to talk about football, were we?
I know. We won't.
I didn't bring it up this time.
And yeah, so so kind of Youth Zone role was me having an impact on young people's lives, but with a different spin on it. So I was able to, you know, fundraise and put events on and bring money into an organisation that then looked after young people. You know, it wasn't me directly doing it because the team there do it amazingly, and got a lot of respect and a lot of love for those guys. You know, what they do day in, day out. You know, the youth workers, Danny and the team out over there. You know, if you're listening, you know, keep doing what you're doing. They're absolutely unbelievable, and they've literally saving lives. You know, at the youth zones, it's class.
He's lovely, isn't he, Chris? This man's lovely.
Did I not tell you that?
No, I thought he was just a new business guy for a locker company who seemed to have a soft spot for us both.
He's one of those sales guys, but no, he's
one of those dirty salespeople.
Is he good and John?
He is, isn't he?
I also do love the taking money off people. You know, there's a real good.
Okay. Now we're back in the room.
There is an excitement in there of, you know, the till ringing, the receipt printing, the invoice sending, whatever it is that in business development that makes people tick in BD and sales and that kind of stuff.
He's back again. It's all right. I'm on solid ground now. It's getting a bit too touchy feely for my liking.
But you still know you're helping someone. I think that's what drives you, John.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, you are, aren't you? Because someone needs a product or a service. You know, they might not know it at that moment in time, but you know how you get there is a little bit different. But so I'm on to Yeep Lockers now, and it's dead exciting. Like I said before, it's the team's really energetic. I've still not even met the whole team yet, but everybody I've come into contact with so far has been fantastic, and it's a product. You know, let's be fair. It's a locker. You know, it's a big green box, and it's a solar powered, battery powered big green box that you put your vintage parcels in once you've sold your trainers that you don't want anymore, or
How does it work? Because obviously Amazon have got theirs. I've seen those all around the place.
Yeah.
Are these? Is it connected to a courier that Yeep owns, or is it just DHL can rent some spots or whoever?
Yeah, I think the really promising thing about us is that we operate agnostic. So we operate across 3 to 4 different couriers right this minute. So you got DPD, DHL, UPS, who are all accessible to those lockers.
Did you get Every to use them, please? Because Every deal with drivers.
Well, Every have got their own, haven't they? But so obviously it's their own locker, as is Royal Mail, as is InPost, and that kind of stuff. So what's really interesting with our product is that it's fully sustainable in itself. It doesn't need power from the host site. So if I went to, say, John Lewis and said, do you want to put some lockers outside your building? We'll pay you a ground rent. We'll also drive footfall through to your location, which brings customers in. We'll add a service to the community, but we power it ourselves, and it uses 4G and 5G, so you don't need to use your network either. It's not costing the host site a penny, you know, but it's actually bringing them a really good service. And they're getting a ground rent from us for doing it as well. So there's some great conversations going on.
It's not like no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah, it pretty much is. You know, Chris asked me a really good question the other day, actually, on the Biz Dev Club. Which, if you're listening and you've not joined Biz Dev, you're missing out.
Are you paying him for this, Marsh?
I should be, shouldn't I? Yeah. I should be. Thank you, John.
But no, Chris said, I think it was my first week I was there, and you know, I was just as excited as I am now about starting this new role. And he said, why wouldn't somebody have one? And you know what, I've thought about that actually every time I'm kind of just walking to the shop or whatever, and just thinking, why wouldn't someone do this? And I still can't think of a really good reason apart from you're an organisation that might not want the added footfall in your area, and that's the only thing I can kind of come up with right this minute that's a kind of viable answer, really. Yeah. Otherwise, who doesn't want money for space they're not using? Who doesn't want customers? An extra footfall, and who doesn't want a convenient service right outside their building? You know, it is a really good offer and a really good opportunity. And the biggest opportunity is the fact that we've got about 2,600 lockers in the UK right this minute. The opportunity for growth is huge. So, I'm talking to loads of different people, from private sector retailers to charity shops to football stadiums, convenience stores, you name it. Anyone with a little bit of square footage outside their shop or store or branch that they're not using, we can help them generate some money from. So it's a really exciting time.
Yeah, so it's an exciting product, but like you say, it's having that awareness of where these venues are. So we recently met at a football pitch, and it's not the easiest to find. If you don't know, it's where sort of off the main road and down a long lane. And if you didn't know it was down there, you wouldn't go down there, would you? Really?
Yeah.
So having something like that would give awareness to. Everyone knows where Old Trafford is.
No, well, it's not in Manchester. I know that. It's in Trafford.
Let's move on.
Swiftly.
But to help with awareness, of a venue, I think is that's exactly what you want. You want that footfall. You want people to visit and go, oh, right, I'll pick up my parcel, but I don't know, there's football pitches here. I could book one of these while I'm here, or I know, we're always struggling to find where we can play. So let's see if there's any.
Oh, right, when you said football pitch, I must admit I was thinking it was going to be, Stockport County, or it was give them even.
Oh, right. Playable sort of.
I'm with you.
Yeah, like a power league. It's we'll give them a
yeah.
So,
but even there are some football teams that have been. Obviously, FC United. Chris and I have both been there. Very different networking events. We've struck up a little bit of a partnership with FC United, and there's one going in there in a couple of weeks' time.
Brilliant.
That was all done last week when I was at their event. So
great.
And there's a couple of other clubs around the northwest that we're talking to at the moment, that we're looking at putting one in. It just adds a little bit of it, especially for people that want to commercialise whatever they've got. There's operating costs rising all the time, isn't there? For everybody, whether it's kind of rentals or land or fuel, whatever it might be. So if this just offsets a little bit of that, then great.
Yeah.
And if
I'm going to work out if I can get one in my front garden.
You know what? You're not the first person to say that either.
I just spoke to the missus because it'd be in front of the lounge window. Look at the back of the green locker.
In all seriousness, for me, it is about business development. It is that awareness. I don't know if I've mentioned the term visibility creates opportunity, but
what do you mean by that, Chris?
If you have these things that
point to the tattoo,
especially for organisation with venues that need the footfall and they're relying on it and relying on their existing customers and potential new ones like FC United.
I wondered where you were going with that first couple of syllables. I'll be honest with you. You kind of stumbled.
I knew where I was going. I think it's brilliant, and we talked again recently on the Biz Dev Club about doing things differently or doing the same things over and over and expecting different results.
Definition of insanity.
Definition of insanity, Ross. So you do something different, like have another reason why more people can come to your site. That's going to drive revenues and drive awareness and visibility. So really exciting product for you and really exciting time for you. So go on. What does the future look like for you then, John? What does John Ewbank look like in the next few years?
I got an email this morning actually from the National Lottery saying that I'd won a lucky dip last night. So I'm kind of my fingers are crossed for Saturday. To be fair,
remember your mates. That's all I'm saying.
So I think. Do you know what? I'm quite happy at the moment saying that I don't know. I think if you'd have asked me that 5 or 6 years ago, I'm not saying 6, 7, because anybody younger than me would go start waving their hands around. About 5 or 6 years ago, if you'd have said like, what's the future look like? I'd be saying things like branch manager, department operations manager, regional manager, all these kind of buzz titles that are great, but I don't know if I was going to reach them. Who knows? At the end of the day. But I think now I'm really quite happy the fact that I'm loving what I'm doing right this minute. My family are healthy and happy. Life could be a little bit better, and that the sun could be shining every single day. I could be sat out in Switzerland climbing mountains and that kind of stuff. But what? Family are all right, and I'm quite happy doing what I'm doing. And I think as long as I can continue being, enjoying what I do, then that's fine. Let's just see what the future holds. I'm 50 in 3 years' time. I'm 47 this year. It's mad. People keep reminding me I'm nearly 50. So,
I'm 54.
Don't look a day over 53.
Chris, is he tall? Was he a big
He
fan?
is actually. You two are both taller than me, I think. So yeah.
But no, honestly, I
We'll
don't know.
slap him next
Let's
time I
just see
see
how
him.
it goes. And yeah, you want to be financially stable, don't you, so that you can support the kids and that. You know, Abby's, what is she now? She's 13, 14 this year. She's doing her options right this minute, and you know, trying to help her and advise her, that kind of stuff is an absolute nightmare. You know, so if I can just be any help to them as they're growing up, then great.
John, I think
and
you've
we'll-
reached a
we'll
place
see.
I did when I was about your age, knocking on the door of 50, of going, I'm not going to take the world over anymore. I just want to be happy. And I don't want to work every hour God sends. I don't want to chase the next thing, whatever, the big shiny thing. I've got a car I don't mind. I'm in a house I quite like. I'm happy with my life. You know, look at the positives rather than. We talked about this a couple of shows ago about looking at your mates who have got the 6-figure salary and the bigger cars and going, yeah, I'm happy though. You know, I don't need that.
It's what happiness looks like, isn't it? Is what you're content with and what you're grateful for. I think attitude's an important thing as well, isn't it? So I mean, you talk about family there, you talk about your children. Would you and forgive me if this is a slightly loaded question, but would you, when you're talking to the girls about future careers, would you advise them to look at retail in the first instance, whether it's short term, long term, or would you avoid it?
No, 100%. We've already even had those conversations, and you know, my girls are quite confident. You know, we'll go to a cafe and they'll order their own drinks or they'll order their own food. Where was we the other day? We went out for Mother's Day. In fact, we went down to go and watch the United ladies in the Subway Cup final on Sunday, and it was Mother's Day, wasn't it? So
right.
with a bit of a cop out, I was like, oh, let's just go stay in Bristol and we'll make a nice thing of it for Mother's Day.
You were in Bristol. You sent me a picture in Bristol.
I think I got away with it.
Why you were in Bristol?
So we took Sally out for Mother's Day tea on the Saturday night. Went for a really nice Chinese meal, and the girls all ordered their own stuff. They ordered their own food, ordered their own drinks. Yeah. We talked to the waitresses, all that kind of stuff. But they're confident in that sense. But I have always said to them, be like that. You know, ask for your drinks. Do ask the questions. Abby's just about to do a Spanish GCSE in year 9 to give them an extra GCSE. And we was in Lanzarote last year, and she was asking for the bill in Spanish and everything, and she was talking to the waitress in Spanish, and obviously it's kind of as she's learning, but it's just that little bit of confidence levels and just trying to push them a little bit, so that they don't become kind of a nervous wreck with stuff. But I do say that retail hospitality, I'll always say it is the entry into learning how to speak to people the right way. Learning how to take a bit of handle a bit of resilience as well, you know, because nothing's ever going to go right all the time. So a bit of challenge, a bit of conflict, you know, it's not nice at the time, but actually you can learn a little bit from it as well. Yeah. You're not always going to be spoken to nicely by, you know, your entire life. So I'd say that's great, and you know, see what happens when they get to that age when literally John Lewis is around the corner. So I'd never say no to them going in there. Yeah. Decent discount as well.
Well, which leads me on nicely. The point I was going to make was I've often said everybody should have to work in retail for at least a year, because I'm not sure if I've mentioned it on here before. I got made redundant twice in about 18 months. And I was sod this for Game of Soldiers, so I applied to Apple to be a genius working at the Sheffield store, and I got the job. It was kind of half a joke, to be honest with you. I ended up spending 5 years there, and my customer service skills have gone through the roof because of it. Because I've had people threatening to break my head with an iPhone because they've dropped it down the toilet, but it's my fault somehow because these phones are shit. You know, and you learn not to get wound up by it, and you learn how to pacify people. And you know, it's daft things like if somebody's shouting at you, you go quiet. And the thing is, that is your natural reaction would be to shout back. But actually, no, if you talk down, they then come down to your level. Those kind of things are just, you know, it's the empathy thing again. Get to see why they're so annoyed and empathizing, but not doing it probably the way I was taught at Apple, because it's very American, unsurprisingly. But with the Yorkshire kind of version, we're going, yeah, mate, do you know what? I've been pissed off as well. But look, let's see what we can do to make the best of this situation so that you're happier and I don't lose my job.
Yeah, it's human skills that they can't teach you in school. We're not blaming the school system, but they can't teach you in school. It's real life situations, like you say. It's being empathetic. It's learning how to be resilient and just talking to people. And and those skills, similarly talking about myself now, but similar, I did retail as well, and using those transferable skills into customer service and then sales has been fantastic for me. And it's again, recommend any young person to at least try that sort of retail, hospitality. Just to get those skills, even if you don't stay in it, if you stay in it, great, but you can transfer those skills into other industries as well.
Yeah, and everything afterwards will seem a lot easier as well.
I think so.
5 years working in one of the busiest Apple stores in the UK, and constantly on your feet and running around like an idiot. Every other job's a piece of piss after that, to be honest with you. So go and do your retail for a year, kids. Whether it's Curry's, Dixon's, I don't know, Pret a Manger, whatever. Just do something where you get insulted all the time.
Come and be a guest on our podcast, and we'll
we'll insult you quite happily for an hour.
One of us will.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, what do you mean by that, dickhead?
No comment. Yeah. Listen, thank you very much, John. Listen, I mean, I always enjoyed chatting to you, and I feel as though we get on really well, and like I say, I always appreciate you joining the Biz Dev Club. So I think I'm sure
you want to promote the Biz Dev Club. It's been mentioned 18 times.
No, it's just I think that's as I say, when we're talking about business development, and John always makes a valuable contribution, and I always appreciate it. So I'm sure our listeners would agree today that it's been fascinating hearing your story, and obviously we wish you all the best with the new job, and look forward to hearing more about it. Absolutely, yeah. So Yeep, what's the website?
Yeeplockers.com.
How do you spell Yeep? Y-E-E-P?
YEEP, yeah, big green website. But yeah, and yeah, seriously, guys, thanks for having me on. Obviously, I didn't even think I'd be a guest when I started listening. I do enjoy listening to the podcast. I think the first one.
We've invited you on now. You can stop it.
So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah,
and you know what? I think sometimes when you, I mean, I'd probably talked loads on this. So
mate, no, I take the piss just so people know we're still here.
I think when you do recount your journey, I suppose, kind of like the last comment, I suppose, not Springer's last thought, but Ewbank's last thought. When you recount your journey and you think about the things you have done from kind of 16 or whatever, I was probably a teenage tool when I was a bit younger than that, but from 16 onwards, when you think about what you've done, who you've met, what you've learned, the journeys you've been through, the lessons you've learned, or and how resilient you've been at certain times, it's actually quite refreshing to kind of think about it. So yeah, I've had some crap times in the last kind of 30 years, but there's been some absolutely awesome times as well, and long may the awesome times continue. And thanks for having me on.
No, mate, an absolute pleasure. So the usual wrap up is my name is Ross Brown. If you want to find out more about me and my marketing services and that kind of shizzle, then please go to www.rossbrown.co.uk.
And I'm Chris Marsh, and you'll find my freelance business development services. I list everything I do, including my prices, on agentsof.co.uk.
Oh, John, thank you. Honestly, mate, I know you to nod out and say hello to, but I've really enjoyed this last hour. And frankly, you're just a lovely fella. So I'm really glad Chris said you were interested. So thank you very much for your time. And it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.